Hey, hi, welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting the Vista community and beyond. Today, I'm here with myself, my cup of cold brew, thanks to the Steeping Giant, and the Vista magazine, to just share with you some of my favorite moments from the 2023 Velocity episodes. We had some amazing guests this season from the Mayor of Vista. We had all of our Heroes winners, our Veteran of the Year, Rudy Moreno, so many amazing business leaders, civic leaders, education leaders, and really inspirational folks. Just such a great year. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to make connections with all of these amazing people. And I thought it would be fun to just wrap up the year with some of my favorite moments. There's just so many. It was really tough to choose, but I have just a few to share with you. We started 2023 with an interview with Jason Roberts from Frontline Careers, a company that helps employers assess themselves to know if they're offering the right benefits, pay, and other perks to their employees. Jason has a lot of wisdom to share, and I really enjoyed this piece about mental health. I want to ask you kind of why is stress management and your mental health, why is it so important to you personally, and why is it something that you champion in the work that you do?
Oh, that's a really good question. And, I recently spoke about this topic, and I'm a little bit more open about it now, from a mental health perspective, because it's been a long time now, a little over 16 years ago, I lost my dad to suicide, right? And I think through that experience, you bottle some things up, but then as I started to get, older and further along and just in your career, the more stresses that you start to take on, right? Both just, whether that's at home or whether that's, just at work, is just life just becomes extremely stressful. And so one of my big takeaways from, my dad and what happened there was that, when I got to my breaking point, forget the physical manifestation of that, i.e. the stroke, right? The mental side of that, like I knew like you got to do something, right? So the reason why it's so important to me is I have now realized I'm on the receiving end of that, on the other end of it, how much investing in my mental health has helped me. Right, has helped me grow and move in a different way, kind of the rest of, hopefully, the back end of my life, right? And how it's just been helpful me in dealing with certain situations in ways that I would not have been able to deal with them before. But it was all because, I made that choice to invest in my mental health, right? Through, seeing a therapist and stuff like that. But I still come across so many people, right, who are struggling, right? And one thing that I feel is we're getting a lot better at in this country is having these open conversations like you and I are having about mental health and removing the taboo about going and talking with someone. You go and you see a physical, therapist, you go and you see a doctor and things like that. It is absolutely not just therapeutic, but potentially life-changing to go and talk with someone when you're dealing with the stresses, whether that's at home in your relationships, with your, spouse or kids, or at work, right? It absolutely is critically important. And I've talked about this recently on a different show. Suicide is like one of the leading causes of death in kids, right? And still, even in some of the older age groups too. And it's, I wouldn't say completely preventable, but there's so much more that we could be doing about it. And so for me, mental health is so important because, number one, I have a personal loss related to that that still deal with to this day.
Right.
But I've also seen how it's affected me investing in my mental health and helped prepare me for the ups and downs of launching a startup and things like that, other things, that tragedies and things that you encounter in life, how I have been more well prepared for that and can deal with it. And so I think more people need to be equipped in that way. And so the more conversations we have on it, the more we remove the stigma around mental health. And I think the more people that we can help, because I guarantee you walk out this door, there are people who are quietly suffering.
Really powerful stuff from Jason. I hope you'll check out the full episode and all the nuggets there. Another really fun episode for me this year was talking to Colin Tappy from Standard Records. Colin shared a lot of really cool stuff. One about being a music lover and all about records and vinyl, which is something I'm interested in, but also just the trials and tribulations of being a young entrepreneur. And a lot of great wisdom in this episode. But one of the things I wanted to really highlight and share with you today was just the power of having the right people on your side.
She just took such a chance on me. I can't imagine doing that myself, when I'm just looking for, if you're looking, landlords get a bad rap in general, I think, but like, if you're just looking to get kind of mailbox money and have like an easy, someone move into your place and send you some money and just relax and count your ducats, like, you're not taking a chance on a 30-year-old kid who's never had any business experience whatsoever. I didn't know what a DBA was. I didn't have any understanding of any of that. And I just she just really went out of her way to take a chance on me. And, there's a little bit of an idea, I think, in small business owners have in general. And you talk to a lot of them, so maybe you see some of that where it's like, you just go and you do and you get it done. And it's your personal thing. It's like, no. No one gets shit done on their own. I put my name on the lease. Yeah, I found the location and it all worked out. But like without her taking a chance on me, that's not happening.
Right.
Maybe arguably if there's less, demand for it at that time, maybe they're a little bit more lenient about what they'll take a chance on. But yeah, that was, just dumb luck, fate, permission from someone who was very kind, frankly. And that relationship is still really good today, and it all kind of worked out. But yeah, the fact that she was really kind and the location was already at a place that people kind of knew. I felt like people knew the Yellow Deli, alternative types or whatever. So, the location that, if not for the Yellow Deli and if not for the kind heart of Martha Bozilich, I would definitely not have that location and not be in Vista.
Another highlight for me this year was sitting down with brand new city manager John Conley, who took over city manager in March of 2023 for the city of Vista. We had such a fantastic conversation, a lot of wisdom and knowledge shared about what does a city manager do? What is it like being a public employee? And how did you even get to this position? We had a lot of conversations about what's next for Vista. And I think a real highlight for me was our discussion about all of the opportunities coming to Vista in the next 5 to 10 years.
What do you think are the city's biggest opportunities over maybe the next 5 to 10 years, just for not necessarily even development, but just overall for our community?
Yeah, that's a good one. So we have a critical need for housing, and I think most people understand that. That's a statewide and region-wide issue. We're looking for opportunities for housing, and unfortunately, we don't have much land left, as you pointed out. So kind of the single family, half-acre lots that Vista's kind of been known for, there's just no more of those opportunities. They're very few. So the majority development that we're seeing now is multifamily, and so there's a little bit of a challenge there because a lot of folks that live here don't want to see more multifamily, but we need the housing, and there's no space left. So that's like this conundrum of how do you solve that? We're really looking around the transit centers and, where the transit opportunities are to build new housing. So around the downtown, around Vista Village, around Civic Center. And that's kind of where we're focusing our efforts. Vista also has some older commercial areas that are really kind of underutilized or run down. And so we're looking at those as opportunities in the future for new development, whether it's housing or commercial or whatever, the market's looking for. One thing I think people don't really fully understand is the city doesn't determine what goes where. Mm-hmm. So people always come to me and say, how come you don't put a Taco Bell there? How come
Trader Joe's?
How come there's not a Trader Joe's in Vista?
Yeah.
But we only zone it. So we create the opportunity for uses, but the markets who bring them to us. So trying to make it as attractive to the market as we can. So trying to make sure a Trader Joe's knows that, hey, you're very welcome here, or a new car dealership, or something that generates some revenue or some benefit to the city, new restaurants. We have an incentive program. Anything like that we try to create opportunities for people, but we can't hand select where stuff goes. And so trying to maybe set the stage and really create those opportunities for businesses that we want to come to Vista is sort of the key. And that's really what I think their biggest opportunity is creating those the ability to bring in new uses that are going to serve the community that everybody really wants to see. And I think you know this, these multinational companies that establish new locations, they have a formula that they use, and they're looking at like median income and disposable income and, size of family and all those things. Well, Vista doesn't have all those numbers really like some other communities do. And so it's not easy for us to attract things like Trader Joe's or high-end restaurants where, they're relying on a high disposable income. And so still trying to attract those types of users with what we have is a challenge. And I think that's where we're trying to focus our efforts to try to bring some users into the city that people really want to see, that may not be totally ready to jump into this market, but because the city was inviting or because we contacted them and said, hey, we have this great opportunity here, come check it out, whether it's in the business park or it's in downtown or it's in East Vista Way, wherever. It's inviting those folks to come and see what we have here and giving them more information than just their basic, 1 mile radius kind of look. And so I'm really trying to bring those opportunities to the city so that we can bring some of the services here that people really want to see.
One of the things that really stuck out to me about John Conley was just his approachability and likability, doing a really hard job. So I hope you'll check out the full episode. Another leader that I was very lucky to have sit down with me for Velocity was Star Rivera-Lacey, the president and superintendent of Palomar College. Her personal story and journey to being the president and superintendent of Palomar College is an absolute inspiration. But one of my favorite things was just this little piece about advice for students as they start on their path to their next level of education.
I would say in my own experience, as I was going through the community college, I was also working full time. I mean, there was other realities in my life. And there were some semesters, I got through by the hair on my chinny chin chin, right? And the biggest advice I can give to students is just show up. Just keep showing up. The road will rise to meet you, and you will find people that truly are invested in you being successful. And just show up. And that's my biggest thing. And if you happen to trip, you didn't get a chance to finish the semester for whatever reason, come back. Come back. There's no judgment on our part. And we're just going to say, okay, and going to readjust your educational plan and get you to the next step. Because there are very few things in life that I'm certain about. But I am certain that if you invest in your education, it will pay out in dividends. Mm-hmm. And whether it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever your investment, it will change the trajectory of your life, and it will give you tools and experiences beyond your wildest dreams. And I think that's sometimes people think, that's going to take so long. But the reality is time's going to pass anyways. So you're either going to be, I'll use my own age, 53 with a degree or 53 with no degree. Mm-hmm. And so that is, I will tell you that I've had moments in my life, for example, standing on top of the Eiffel Tower, and I thought, it's my degree that got me here. Nothing else would have given me this opportunity. Mm-hmm.
I was really inspired by Dr. Rivera-Lacey, and the fact that she's a black belt in karate was pretty impressive too. So I hope you'll check out the full episode. Another total win for Velocity this season was having Belief, Glenn Henry, on the show. He is such an inspiration. If you listen to the full episode, it's a little embarrassing how much of a fan I am of Glenn, but he just has so much great wisdom to share around being a father and representing fathers online. In fact, the piece that stands out to me the most about this particular episode was just the power of proof and the importance of seeing examples that look like you online. So check this one out.
So I realized the power of proof. Now, you are proving everything that you believe with everything that you do, right? So I realized, okay, I never wanted to be a dancer until I saw proof. Then I saw proof and I was like, I can do this. Maybe people just need proof, right? So I can't be perfect and I can't be the example for everyone, right? But I can at least be proof that even if you do it wrong and you apologize, you can still do it well.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that was the goal. That was the focus, was that like, oh, people need proof of fatherhood and I want to be that proof.
Well, I remember you posted a video I saw it on Instagram, was probably on TikTok or something, but I saw it on Instagram where you were upset, you're angry about people asking you, why are you putting your family online?
Mhm.
And you basically said, I have to show my family. There's not enough examples of fathers, especially Black fathers.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about why did you shoot that video? Like what pushed you to do that?
I was pissed.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
looked really angry.
Yeah. I was pissed because like there's so many people like, I'm more upset with the generations before us that give us the silent treatment, right? So we step into adulthood with this confusion, whole misunderstanding about what life is supposed to be like. And we end up like just immensely frustrated that, we have these problems because we didn't know that they existed. And so like, I didn't know so many different things that were going to happen to me as a stay-at-home father. Right. And when I'm sitting there and my child is screaming at the top of his lungs, he's unconsolable. And I'm having to look at myself and say, okay, you're doing a good job, and then my wife comes home and she's like, what'd you do today? And I'm like, I lived, they survived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a different amount of like, that is normal, right? Because what was happening was I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm getting calls from my homies getting on their wives for coming home and the house is dirty. And I'm like, you don't even know what she had to do. Like I'm defending the wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, there's just this misunderstanding that I feel like people think it's okay for people just to not know. Right. And I got really frustrated when I asked an older gentleman in my life, and I was like, hey man, like this is a tough season. I got young kids. I'm working on my career. Is there anything coming up along the road that happens when you're around the age of 30? Like, is there something that I should be looking out for or something I could be, that may come up? And the dude looked at me and goes, I just think you really should figure it out yourself. And I was like, it's something about, we like to see people struggle, even if we have the answers. I'm not one of the people who's like, I don't like to listen. Like, just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. But so many people, like, they don't want to give you the answers, right? It's almost like they want you to struggle like they did.
They're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I was like, the main point in that video was like, I share because you don't. You didn't share anything with us. Right. And the fact that you want to make sure everything's perfect, you're lying to everyone. Mm-hmm. And so it's an injustice to humanity. Like, just tell me how difficult it is. Like, tell me what I'm signing up for when I have a child. Tell me what I'm signing up for when I get married. Because what happens is we get married, we see the wedding, and we don't see nothing after that. And then 3 years later, it's a divorce. Or a year later, it's divorce. So what happened? What happened from I do to I want to get a divorce? Like, what happened in that time period? Yeah. What was the communication, the conversation? And that's why we started How Married Are You?
I was just going to say, that's your podcast, How Married Are You?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Transparency is a huge gift.
The next highlight I want to share with you all is from my really fun episode with Handel's Ice Cream, Shanta and Jen. We had such a fun time. We laughed hysterically the entire time, and I think that really shines through. It also was a little bit of a wake-up call to learn that my two favorite flavors are the ones they sell the most. And maybe I'm buying too much ice cream, but we had a really fun time, and it was really inspirational to learn that so many of their employees, it's their very first job. And Shantae and Jen take that role very seriously.
The biggest things are being solution-oriented. That's just something that doesn't come natural to people. And so we spend a lot of time, teaching them accountability. So we discuss, when the schedule's out. And it's hard because people have stuff that come up all the time and they're teenagers. And we really have to take the time to say, like, hey, what do you do on a Friday night if you forget, like when we're hiring them? Say the schedule's out and your friend's birthday's on Friday night and you have a shift. What are you going to do? They're like, you cannot just call out. You have to get your shift covered. So these are things we're teaching them. Work ethic. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'll go in a store. I'm just washing dishes back there and the kids come like, can you wash this one too? I'm like, guys, you should hop in here and start doing it. But we try to have those conversations of, I tell every person, you're not going to know what to do for the first couple months. But in time, we want you to look around and see what needs to be done. I always tell them, do you like to be told what to do all day long? No. Well, we don't want to tell you what to do all day long. So let's have a relationship and do it together. And honestly, that has grown in my first year of being with Handel's. Again, my background is kitchens and a little more older. So it was like, this is how it is. This is how it's going to go. Well, you can't really do that with teenagers. A lot of conversations, a lot of patience, a lot of, having those harder conversations of like, hey, if this were to happen like in a real job, you may not actually have that job anymore. So we really do take it serious. We want them to walk out of there with all the skill sets they need to be a productive member in society and the workforce, not just showing up for a paycheck like, oh, whatever, I don't really care.
Right.
So we have a lot of conversations. We do a lot of training with them, a lot of ongoing training. We also show them what we're doing in the community. We're talking about it all the time because
they participate too.
I want to thank you all for joining me this year for Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. And I have a little holiday treat for you. We've created a special Spotify playlist from all of the favorite songs from our guests over the last 3 seasons. You can find it online on Spotify. Also, I want to make sure you know that we are currently seeking nominations for 40 Under 40. If you know a young professional that's a total rock star, visit our website to nominate them for our 40 Under 40 magazine feature. Thanks again for listening to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. If you like what you heard, tell a friend and subscribe. Help us move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Find us online at vistachamber.org. Happy New Year!